Page 561. Truly, your way to the cognition is long and heavy, but if you have achieved the cognition, then the way you must go to create in yourselves the developmental change to the good, better, and best is even much longer and heavier. The way is long and heavy, and if you neglect the favorable opportunity, and in your unknowledge, wantedly or unwantedly continue to load great guilt upon yourselves, then a bad end cannot be avoided. And during your doing activity and actions, always consider that if you do them in the unright, an excuse will have no weight, because the life itself does not accept any excuse for whatever unrightful and wrong things you do, because the life only knows the law of the causality, the cause and effect, as it is pre-given through the creational laws and recommendations. Those of you human beings of Earth who feel the urge, in the course of the interactions, cause and effect, to recognize and to understand the effects given through the creational laws and recommendations, must see them in the difference to the earthly views, and make the effort to take an example out of your own existence for comparison, and to examine where right and unright really are given. And if this comprehensive examination is made and passed, then you will be able to unfold your own intellect and rationality capability more vividly and strongly in order to ultimately cast off everything with regard to learned prejudices of inadequate views and attitudes. If this happens, then an understanding of fairness will therethrough be created in you, which can rely on itself, and through which you, in your recognizing of all interactions, recognize and accept the creational laws and recommendations, which then can widen and be active in you. If you observe and consider yourselves with regard to the interactions, then you recognize that cause and effect also arise in you in a wise that corresponds to your attitude and that guides you when you refer it to the past or future. You amongst you human beings of Earth, who live in the past with your attitude, you comprehend something only then, when it has already happened, and resulting out of this is that you can neither really enjoy nor get angry about what happened, nor can you logically follow and understand the whole severity of the whole case. Only afterwards, after a longer time, when everything is already over, do you begin to make thoughts and feelings about it and to talk about it, and to either worry about the past happening or to enthuse over it. Therefore, you only talk of what lies in the past, feel good therein or regret it, but in doing so you completely overlook the new and present things that again come about, because only when everything has already become old and moved into the past do you begin to have thoughts and feelings about the past happening, and to value it. And you amongst you human beings of Earth, who with your attitude live in the near or far future, you only ever hope and wish for things that the future shall bring you. But in doing so, you forget that the present of your everyday life has a lot to offer you. At the same time, you also forget to make efforts in such a wise that you could let your wishes for the near and far future actually become reality. Truly, many of you belong to the majority of your humankind who fritter away your life and lead no real and truthful life on earth, nor do those amongst you who believe to live in the present but have a completely wrong understanding of it. And those of you who wrongly understand the present, you spur yourselves every moment to recklessly encourage yourselves to the life and to live it to the fullest, and enjoy it in an ausgeartet wise. And truly there are many of you of this kind, who thus tumble through your life in an affirming, jubilant, and senseless wise. It is right that you live your life in every minute and second to the fullest in an absolute wise, but not only in the outer and material realm, but also in your inner, in accordance with the true creational core of your inner nature, which you have coerced over with the rubbish, the chaff, of your self-created individuality. Each second, minute, and hour of the present must become a real and truthful experiencing in your life, and indeed in the affliction as well as in the joy, in the fortune, and in the unfortune. With all your senses, thoughts, and feelings, you must be open and alert to that which you know as the present, although the present is only short and only covers a short moment. You also have the present as your everyday life, in which you live, are active, and act. Only if you go towards the present of the moment and of the everyday life with openness and alertness do you have an advantage from your earthly existence, an advantage that you create for yourselves. Neither in the thoughts and feelings which are related to the past, nor in your dreams of the future, can you find a real and truthful living experience, because this is solely limited to the immediate present, and only the experiencing of the immediate present through living it is so full of energy and strong that it forms the consciousness which integrates the advantage of the living experience into the actual life and furthers the consciousness-based evolution. If you do not co-live the present, then you also cannot ripen in yourselves, because the ripening depends on your practical experience and the living of the same, which is preceded by the perception, recognition, and cognizance, as well as the knowledge, out of which altogether the essence, the wisdom, results. If, during your life, you do not experience the present through living it in your inner nature yourselves, then you are empty in yourselves and neglect the time, because you are not awake and because you do not make your life your own. Every actual life on earth is only one of many steps in the development that you go through in the always returning existence of your spirit form and in the course of your always new personalities. And truly you cannot skip these steps, but you must climb one after the other. And if you do not stand strong and firm on the current step of your development in the life, then you will have great strain to climb up to the next step, because you will need the preceding step as a firm foundation. These steps correspond to your consciousness-based development state, and according to how this state is given, it will be possible for you to develop yourselves further and to climb up the next step. If you make a conscious effort to climb up the steps of your upward striving development during your existence one by one, then it will become clear to you that you can only reach the next step if you have correctly fulfilled the development on the preceding step. Only through the full, absolute fulfillment of a development step is it possible to climb up to the next higher one. But if you do not fulfill it through the perception, the cognition, the cognizance, the knowledge, the practical experience and its living, the taking in, comprehending, and experiencing it through living in the present, then you cannot get the essence of the whole, i.e., the wisdom, which builds the state of the higher development reached. If you do not fulfill this developmental process through the real experiencing of the present through living it, namely in the realm of the material as well as in your inner and in the fine fluidal, then nothing can contribute to the ripeness in you. So you are, from your present development step, not able to recognize and step on the next one. Only with the equipment of the true experiencing of the present, through living it in all domains of your existence, in your inner, in the fine fluidal and material do you create the energy and power to perceive your next development step and also to climb up to it. In this wise, it goes on and on through your entire actual life, and it went on like this in all your previous lives as always new personalities. And it will always be so in your new lives as new personalities once you have left your present existence. Truly, you need only look after your high fulfillments of your consciousness evolution, and hence pay due attention to your individual development steps, which, for the purpose of your evolution, you must build and use yourselves in order to reach your fulfillment. The evolution steps, which you must create for yourselves and use for your climb up, must not be worked out cursorily, otherwise they easily break down as you try to climb up to the next step. However, you can react to the danger of the breaking down while climbing up to the next step, namely through the natural happening of this, that each higher development step can only be reached by fully developing the step of the present. If you, therefore, do not want to stand still on one development step for half of your life, and do not want to keep falling back again and again, then you must make great efforts to always perceive the whole of the present in the material, in your inner, and in the fine fluidal, to comprehend everything rightly, to experience and live it, and build it up to the wisdom, so that you gain thereout evolutive, consciousness-based benefit. And if you act accordingly, then you will also not lack in earthly gains, because you make use of the advantage that you expect nothing else from space and time, and from your fellow human beings, than what they can really give you. And that is the reason why you will never be disappointed, and why you are able to live in love, peace, freedom, and harmony with yourselves, as well as with your fellow human beings, and the whole environment. But if you live not in the reality of the present, but instead with your thoughts and feelings in the past or in your dreams of the future, then your expectations will easily fall out of the frame of what is real and rational, because they reach beyond the reality of the present, and hence create in you a disharmony from which you will then suffer, and indeed both in yourselves and in your nearer and wider surrounding area. You shall certainly think of that which lies in the past, but you shall not make it to celebrations and to constant memories. Rather, you shall only use it to learn thereout and to make everything better. Equally, you can also dream of the future. However, you shall not wallow therein in unfulfillable wishes, nor in detrimental fantasies and illusions, so that you find a true incentive, through your future dreamings, to live consciously in the present and to dedicate yourselves to the upward swinging of your consciousness evolution. The upward swinging, i.e., the climb up to your consciousness evolution, does not have any distinct rule, so no specific way can be directed in this respect. A directed way would be like a template, in which there would be nothing living, and consequently nothing living could arise out of it that is absolutely necessary for the upward swinging, because only that which is living can again create something living. If you want to climb up to the consciousness evolution, then you can only do that on your own individual way, which is formed for you alone, and therefore a directed way would be the individual way of someone else, and would only be an outer, weak crutch for you, on which you could not walk rightly and autonomously, because it serves neither for the perceiving, nor for the seeing and the recognizing, but rather only for the handicapped movement. Therefore, you must search for your own way and see it clearly and precisely before you, so that you do not go forward upon it blindly. But if you do take on a suggested way, which you do not find yourselves, then you will go forward on it limpingly and blindly, because you will simply follow a new dogma which you had been talked into, instead of you giving the necessary guidelines to yourselves, through which you tread your own way to the truth, knowledge, and wisdom, and therewith to the consciousness evolution. And consider, if you want to get into the realm of your consciousness, and therethrough give enough consideration to its evolution, then you must naturally search for, find, and go to the way thereto yourselves, because it cannot be shown to you by anyone, and it also does not come to you on its own. Your consciousness is in the lowness of your coarse substantialness, the highest factor of your possible development. Therefore, you must do everything in this coarse substantialness in order to get the best possible height of your consciousness evolution. Therefore, you must wander through the coarse substantial in order to reach your fulfillment. So that you do not go astray on your way to the consciousness evolution, it is necessary that you precisely research and know the way you have to tread and to wander through. However, you must not only know the way itself, but also let everything become conscious to you, what can come across you on the way, which dangers can threaten you, and which help you can find. And since the whole way lies only in you yourselves, in your own consciousness, and in the thereout resulting thoughts and their feelings, you must find and recognize it alone if you want to come to the fulfillment. Truly, there is no human being who could describe to you your individual way that is necessary for you to rise up to your consciousness evolution. So there is nobody who could make your own way to the highest form of your development clearly visible and recognizable to you, except you yourselves. The way to that height, which lies in the realm of your consciousness as temple of your highest possible development, is the way to your well-being, to your true love, harmony, and freedom, as well as to the true peace in yourselves, and that alone is the reality. Since time immemorial, the message of the true prophets has shown you, through the quote Goblet of the Truth, the quote teaching of the prophets, the teaching of the truth, the teaching of the spirit, the teaching of the life, the right way to the upward swinging with regard to your consciousness evolution. But the teaching was always wrongly interpreted by you through your human, overbearing, wanting to be clever. You have falsified the teaching beyond recognition and made out of it religions, ideologies, and philosophies, as well as a signpost which has led you to the belief in godheads, tin gods, and idolized human beings. And through this you have misleadingly turned yourselves to the greatest erroneous assumption which you could have made since your existence, and which has prevented you from treading the way of the effective truth consciously and willingly, and from giving enough consideration to the creational laws and recommendations, and the consciousness evolution. It is now finally time for you to consciously decide for the effective truth and for the height of the consciousness evolution in which you can swing upwards and irrevocably find your way out of the lowness of your truth unknowledge, and indeed without possibility of you falling back again into your old habits at some later time. Therefore, the message of the truth is brought to you once again, so that you turn your wrongly positioned signpost in the right direction and are earnest searchers, so that you find, recognize, and follow the way of the truth in yourselves, which is both the way of the truth itself and the fulfillment. Good for you, therefore, if you are open in your senses and you consciously direct your thoughts and feelings accordingly, because if you do this, then you will learn about the truth of all truth, as well as the creational laws and recommendations, which, for your consciousness, serve as rungs for the upward swinging in order to consciously enter the realm of your consciousness evolution. In your consciousness and in your thereout resulting thoughts and their feelings alone, you find everything you need to create your capabilities through which you can climb up into the heights of your consciousness evolution. It is first your true life, which you must live, that gives you the dynamic and the freedom for the development of the necessary capabilities which are necessary for the climbing up into the heights of the consciousness evolution, and through which you can free yourselves from the yoke of your fixed religious, ideological, and philosophical dogmas, which make you into will-less slaves of your belief in a god, tin god, or human being, whom you raise to the status of a divinity, wherethrough you suppress yourselves and hinder the rise up to the high evolution of the consciousness, and exterminate every possibility of the consciousness development.